A lot of my friends have told me that I'm a good listener, and that's something that I'm pretty proud of because I don't know too many people that listen to others properly. I want to live in a world where everyone is able to give genuine attention to someone when they're conversing. So in pursuit of that dream, here are 5 quick tips to help you become a better listener in your daily interactions. A small disclaimer though, this video is meant to help you be a better listener in conversations where both parties are respectful and tolerant of each other as well as of other people. If you have to listen to someone who's being disrespectful towards you or towards others, you might have to seek out more confrontational measures of conversing. So let's get going. For starters, eye contact is crucial. If you aren't looking at someone in the eyes when they talk to you, that person may feel like you're preoccupied with something else, even if you're not. Some people really can be doing something else while paying attention, but it's best to just get in the habit of putting everything down and giving full attention to the person that's talking to you. Put the phone down, take your earbuds out, stop fidgeting with buttons or zippers or pencils or pens or whatever it is that could distract you, and look at the person talking to you. Eye contact lets the speaker know that you're engaged and interested in what they have to say. After you've got eye contact down, work on keeping your mind clear and focused. This is way easier said than done, because we've all got a million thoughts running around our heads all at once, and it's tough to tell all of those thoughts to shut up for a few minutes. But the trick is to let your conversation partner's words and ideas take the place of whatever ideas are currently occupying your mind. Convince yourself that anything and everything this person says is going to be 1 billion times more interesting than anything you have going on inside your own head. If you try that and you still can't find a way to convince yourself that what they're saying is interesting, you just might have a tiny little ego problem. Just a thought. Once your mind is clear and you're genuinely interested in what your conversation partner has to say, you're ready for the third step towards being a better listener. Give visual and verbal cues that you're listening. This goes beyond just nodding your head and saying things like uh-huh or mm-hmm. You have to be a little more involved in that. A good way to show that you're listening is to ask questions about what the other person has just told you. Asking questions not only shows that you've heard everything previously said, but it lets the speaker know that you're genuinely interested in the thing that they're talking about. People like to feel appreciated, and people feel appreciated when others want to know about their lives and interests. It should also be noted that it's okay to ask someone to go back and repeat themselves if you find your mind trailing off for a second. Don't make a big deal about it, but you can say something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, would you mind saying that one more time? I got distracted for a second." This shows the speaker that you care enough to want them to repeat themselves while also being strong enough to admit that you got distracted. Along with giving verbal and visual cues that you're listening, be looking for opportunities to empathize. If someone's telling you about a rough time that they're going through now or that they've gone through in the past, look for ways to show that you know how they're feeling and that you're there to support them. If you have a story to share that highlights that common ground between the two of you, share it. But be cautious when you do. Sometimes people think that they're being empathetic by sharing a personal story, but then they end up stealing the show and talking about themselves, when the goal is to keep the focus on the other person and what they're going through. An ideal story would be one that you could summarize within about 10 to 15 seconds. That should be enough time to establish the commonality between your experience and theirs, to let them know that you've been where they are, and it's a short enough amount of time that you won't be stealing their thunder. In the event that your personal story interrupts their train of thought or throws off the conversation, try to think of a question to get back on subject. This will let the speaker know that you're still engaged in the conversation and that you care about anything else they have to say. And this leads into the final trick to being a good listener. Learn to improvise. Improvisers are some of the best listeners on the planet because their craft depends on listening and reacting to whatever's going on in the moment. Sometimes instead of listening to what another person is saying during a conversation, people hold on to a thought in their heads and wait until it's their turn to speak so that they can share that idea. The worst listeners don't even wait until they can speak, they just start talking over another person. And that doesn't make that person feel understood or appreciated. If someone's talking and a thought pops into your head that you really want to share with the other person, try putting a finger up to remind yourself that you had an idea you wanted to share. Just keep that finger by your side or in your lap or in your pocket, whatever works for you. But once that finger's up, let that thought pass out of your head and focus back in on what the person is saying in real time. Don't let that idea prevent you from being present in the conversation. The worst that's going to happen is that you forget your idea because you were listening to the other person, and that's okay. Because most thoughts that pop up during a conversation aren't so important that another person's words should go unheard or misunderstood. Other than that, let the conversation guide what you're going to say. You should never feel nervous about what you're going to say to someone as long as you're listening properly and you find a way to actually be interested in what they're saying. So next time you find yourself dozing off during a conversation with someone, remember to keep your eyes on them, keep your mind Clear and focused, get interested, show that you're listening with visual cues and verbal cues like questions, look for opportunities to empathize, and learn to improvise during the conversation. If you can embody those 5 steps in your interactions with the rest of humanity, you'll be a better listener, a better friend, and a top-notch human being.